rocking the Dabble Den with my awesome buddies Dan and Danny. We are super pumped for this episode. We are Comic Con friends. That's how we got together, hang out once a year together. So today we're talking conventions, and there was nobody I knew better to have on to talk conventions than my buddy James Riley. James. And also, I was like, you know what we need? Another really good looking bald white guy with glasses in the Dabble Den.
And the Corona beard, man. Beard. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, welcome back. We're glad to have you.
All right, so we're talking conventions today, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, so
hey, I got my bag ready. I got my exclusives. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Right. Now, wait. Have you not slept for like only about 2 hours a night for the last 4 nights? And,
camping outside,
spreadsheets, drawings on the board, chalkboards going. I mean, you got to have everything.
I'm going to miss it. Isn't it sad how much I'm going to miss that misery of sleeping on the ground outside, missing out on stuff, being pissed, but getting those Holy Grail items?
It's like I am so happy that I get a year off without taking a year off, but I am so sad that I'm going to be missing doing all that because, I mean, I sit there and it's like I dread that week all year long because it is so much work leading up to it, and then the actual week, it just feels like it takes 5 minutes, but then it also feels like it takes forever, and that's all. We have to wait another year for it. So. So you wanted me to basically go over some convention stuff, which like general what things that I do. So Comic-Con, obviously, I've been going for since 1994. I think that's 26 years in a row. And I also go to WonderCon, the sister show. I've been going to that one since 2005. I do other conventions too, mainly local ones. Smaller ones. So like I did Gallifrey one, the Doctor Who convention. I do that at least once every 2 or 3 years, depending on who the guest is, the main guest. If they get an actual doctor, like, this year they got Christopher Eccleston. So we were there, because it was his first first convention in the US that he did. We go to D23. We were going to go to our first celebration ever this year, and that was canceled.
I know you're a big Star Wars fan. Sorry.
See? Star Wars, man. So I go to the conventions like that, and I don't really go to as many anymore, basically because they're just so tiring now. And once you've gone to Comic-Con, it's like almost every other convention just pales in comparison. It's such a beast that Comic-Con is like you take almost every convention you've ever been to, if you've been more than a few, and you just roll them all into Comic-Con, and they're all those conventions at once. So you can go to the other ones for very specific things, like small things like the Creation Cons, or like for a specific fandom, or Wizard Worlds, or like basically Comic-Con Light. They're like really small versions of Comic-Con. They're kind of more, pay to play kind of stuff. But I do all of that. And as far as what I really enjoy, I enjoy just kind of being there. But I'm a photographer, so I enjoy panels and getting the perfect shot during a panel, which means, digital is great because you shoot a bunch and then you just pick the best ones. I enjoy going around the show floor and getting pictures of stuff like statues and toys and things like that and getting some cool shots of them. And off-sites, I've gotten to go to more off-sites the last few years, and I'm really enjoying those. I basically just enjoy almost every single thing about Comic-Con. Autographs, I used to do a lot of autographs on my comic books, but I don't collect comic books anymore because I got too many of them and they take over my life. And I said, you know what? I know that that's a bad thing for me, so I stopped collecting. But I do enjoy autographs now and then, and getting photo ops depending on who it is. But it's very limited now. They have to fill niche holes now. I don't just every single person I've ever liked, I go get a photo. It's like, okay, I want to get a picture with some doctors from Doctor Who, or Cast of Firefly, which was my big fandom that got me into going out to cons more than just going to Comic-Con because it was Comic-Con. So that's basically it. That's what I do. And then I work for the unofficial blog covering Comic-Con year round, basically.
It's a full-time job for sure.
It's a lot of work.
And we appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We appreciate the fact that you guys give us that feedback. We do it for fun. No one on our site makes any money. We do it all for fun and to get the info
We're
out.
not getting paid.
No, not at all.
It's the love. I know.
No. We get the perks we get are a few of us. They don't even give us to everyone. We have like 10 or 12 people working on the blog. And they only allow us to get a few of the press badges because they can't just give them to everybody. So I get a free ticket, which the only thing it gets me into is the press room. And I still have to line up for panels. I don't get into, I get off sites. I may get press previews. So I may not, there's a few perks there. Don't get me wrong. There are perks, and I don't have to pay $300 for a ticket, but it's not like it's, free entry to everything. But that's definitely one of the good things about it, of being press, is, getting in there and being able to cover things. And the great thing about 10 of us working on the blog is we get to cover what we want. We go to the con, we do what we enjoy. And because there's 10 people, all of us enjoy different things. We basically cover the whole convention all at once, which is great.
Yeah, you don't sell yourself short. You guys are doing amazing. You deserve all the perks, and then you pay it forward. Not even just in the information, but I know you guys do the prize mule, and you're spending part of your con time post and pitch, having people run at you, giving out some of that cool swag. So it's all great.
Awesome. We're upping our game on making people do crazy things to get those prizes, though, because some people are now looking for us, and they see a prize mule come out, they're just waiting for the tweet to come out, and they run over and like, oh, I see. I'm like, did you read the tweet? Because you got to do something. So we make people do things now.
Awesome. How about you, Dan?
My next thing is going to be watching these people do stuff for the unofficial blog, watching them do random stuff, and that's going to be fun. No, so last year was my first year going to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, right? And before that, I'd done a few small cons, especially here in Dallas. They had the fan days, which those were first before the San Diego Comic-Con, and then again, kind of just blown away, as I'm sure everybody is their first time walking into that massive area. Just watching from the day before you walk in, and everybody's still putting the hotels together, and then you walk in on day one, you're like, this is a completely different town. And I spent a lot of time in San Diego, so it's insane to see. But I really enjoyed the exhibit hall. I really enjoyed watching people at the con, because it was really cool to see how many different types of people, many different types of fandoms kind of come in there and just co-mesh, and between the cosplayers and just dressing up in costumes and people just getting together. There was a place of people playing video games and tabletop games, and it was just blowing my mind just watching the people come together. And that was my favorite part about con last year. And outside of the great panels, all the exclusives and stuff like that, I think the people and just seeing them on the exhibit floor was outstanding.
Awesome. So for me, I used to go to lots of smaller cons. I lived in Hawaii for 10 years, and we'd have like 3 or 4 a year Kauai Con and a couple of really smaller anime stuff that draws like between 2,000 and 4,000 people, and had a blast. And then I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and then now, to be honest, I'm completely spoiled. Like, James, you mentioned that like pay to play thing. Like, so I'm in Texas now, and then we have quite a few, but they're almost always the like celebrity fan fest kind of thing where you got to drop, $100 for a photo, $100 for an autograph. Has a little bit of exhibit floor, and I just can't get into it. Like after going to Comic-Con, where granted it's lottery to get something, but if you get something, you're not paying for like that stuff. And so I'm gonna try to make my way. I'd love to get to a D2, and like, New York is like on my bucket list. But outside of that, I have a hard time, imagining going to too many others. San Diego is the epic, the Mount Everest, and then I'm a big panel guy. I love panels. Like I'll trade off almost anything. I spend almost all my time either in panels or waiting in line for panels. I feel obligated to do the exhibit floor, but it seems like each year I kind of look back and that time, it's cool to see the stuff that I don't spend that much time on the floor because I try to get all my exclusives on preview night, and then it's a little overwhelming, and I enjoy being in the panels better. And then the ops nights are so hit and miss for me. I tend to always choose wrong. I miss out on like the amazing like Westworld and Blade Runner ones, and I'm doing the stupid like Homer Simpson head, or I always pick wrong. So I've kind of decided, it's not worth my time. It just makes me mad. So I'm panels all the way. How about you, Danny?
All right, so I've been going to conventions, I would say a little over 10 years. The only reason I started going to San Diego was because my precious WonderCon in San Francisco decided to move south because of the Moscone, and then they had other contractual issues here in San Francisco. So, I used to go to the Big Wow, which then turned into the Silicon Valley, which is going to be Silicon this year. I'll travel for a convention. So I've gone to New York Comic Con, ECC. This was supposed to be my second year at ECC. I have my badge. I just can't use it because it's canceled. But I've San Diego is the one that filled the void for me losing WonderCon so locally here, and I love every single minute of it. I'm more of the exhibit floor. I don't feel obligated. I look forward to it. I love it. I love the push, the pull, the lines. I don't like the fire marshal telling me to move all the time, or the lines being capped, but that's part of it all. I think you start learning what to do and how to do it better, or where you got to spend your time prioritizing where. But I love the panels. I wouldn't spend as much time waiting for a panel as others would, but I will. And some of my favorite panels were ones that I just kind of stumbled across accidentally. So I know that Dexter was one of them. I hadn't watched Dexter at that point. I saw a couple great Dexter panels. Silicon Valley, when they first came out, had a great funny one. So I do like panels, but I like the offsites and the exhibit halls. Those are my go-to places.
Yeah, if I didn't have, and then the best advice I could get is, if you're gonna go to Comic-Con, either make sure you follow. There's a couple sites you should follow, a couple of things, but you got to make friends, because if I didn't have like these guys and then the rest of my line group, I wouldn't get to do all the panels I love to do. So we do Hall H a lot, and that's just because there's a group of us that are great friends that hang out. So that's the best advice I can get. Even if you're an introvert, like some of us, you got to get out and make friends at Comic-Con. I mean, those people are there to see the same exact stuff as you do. But that's a good segue into, like, I guess the really reason we were having this episode is we got COVID. We got no cons going on. What's next? What are conventions going to look like in the future? So, Danny, what do you think about what's going to happen next convention-wise?
Right. So, like I said, I was going to go to ECC, which was the week where things just were shutting down. I had my plane ticket in hand thinking, okay, should I go? Should I not go? You started seeing a lot of vendors saying, for the safety of our employees, we're going to pull out. I'm like, oh, man. And I'm a Figpen fan. Figpen said that. I'm like, that's 80% of the reason I wanted to go. But I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll still brave it. It's going to, more than half of the attendants said they're not going. They want their refund. So I was going to go. And I was scared at that point. I didn't, it was still pretty new here. I know that Seattle was hit very hard during the onset. But I wanted to go. I was going to go. I thought they were going to go and protect us enough to be able to make it safe-ish. But then they ended up canceling. And then I'm like, oh man, it's a pretty big deal. And you started seeing other big events starting to cancel. And I know a lot of us have tried and we're hoping for the best, July, August, September, the reschedules when people are rescheduling these conventions, and little by little, they're not seemingly going to happen. I know a lot of them have been pushed back and now fully postponed till next year. There's some who still have not made that final decision. I understand that, but with the pandemic on the rise once again in a lot of different places, I would, as much as I want that, have that need and craving for the convention, I don't think I want to go. I don't feel safe enough. And I think for a lot of people that they're feeling the same way. So I'm interested in seeing when is it, if it's next year, how many people are going to feel safe to go? Because conventions are completely opposite of social distancing. I mean, you got 100,000 people in the actual exhibit halls of these things. You have people lining up for exclusives. You have people lining up in Hall H under a tent. I mean, it's outdoors. Okay, maybe there's some little wiggle room there, but you can't social distance that line to get into Hall H. And when you're in Hall H, you're not social distancing there either. So it's not going to look the same. I don't care. You know, if there is a vaccine, great. But still, I don't think it's going to look anywhere close to what it's going to be next year or the following year. I think it's going to look very much different, and I'm interested to see how.
I think the main thing that we're going to see is masks are going to become like a cosplay, essentially. Masks are going to be like a statement, a fandom statement now, just like T-shirts have been for so long. And I think that. I think we're going to, once there's a vaccine, I think things are going to go back mostly to what they were, mostly. Because then we don't have, but if there's another, Corona 20 comes out, what's going to happen if the next one comes out and you got to wait another year? I mean, what's going to happen? So I expect that this year is done. I don't think that there's going to be a single convention that runs normally for probably another 6 to 8 months at least. I think that we're not going to see a convention that gets run pretty much like normal until somewhere between March and June of next year. And that sucks, but it's what we're going to have to deal with and do our virtual cons for a while. I'm with you. I am not feeling good about going to a convention or anything until there's a vaccine. I just don't want to put myself or anyone in that position. I mean, you can go with all of the different arguments people are having, and it's not really. It's not why we're here to argue about coronavirus and how dangerous it is, but it's just everyone has their own comfort level, and it passes mine. So I just think that we're just gonna have to suck it up and do virtual cons for 6 months, basically.
Yeah, and then if you guys haven't checked out the last episode, there's a lot of virtual cons that are actually happening with some great content. It's not what we want, but it's what we get. So,
and it's
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's awesome. While it sucks, 2020 is that year where we saw it with working from home, but I mean, the technology is available where we can get a little bit of that niche, right? We're still doing exclusives, right? We're still seeing that stuff drop almost at the same pace as it would have, as we were gearing up for San Diego. And we're still getting a lot of great content for the cons, and it's not going to be the same, but I think it's also going to be a great time for people to kind of say, well, what is this Comic-Con everybody keeps talking about? Well, they're going to have Marvel stuff. I guess I can tune in and watch this a little bit, and then they'll start seeing the list of things that are being available. Well, like, I saw Dexter. I can kind of watch something like that. And then before you know it, you're going to have another 30 people trying to get tickets when the con open back up.
We don't need more people trying to get Azure. I think the key is, I think we're just going to have to watch amusement parks, really. I think, because if you think like Disney Universal, that's the same waiting in line, cramming together, like where you eat, waiting in line, the rides, it's kind of the same thing. So I personally think conventions are really going to, they're going to let Disney figure it out and like Universal figure it out. And if I don't know if, as we go into the convention center, if you got to do your RFID for your badge and then get the swipe across your forehead or the temperature gauges. I saw like Amazon employees are getting the digital scan. So I don't know what it's going to be. I'm like, it's going to be weird. And I think I'm probably, I'm a little more, I don't want to say brave. I'd go next week if they, no, I'm just kidding. But man, it's just crazy to think we're talking like, like you said, James, like 6 to 8 months out. It's a hard to think. I mean, what if you think vendors are going to come back strong? And then if we don't get so I guess my big question to you guys, I'll ask Dan, you think we're going to get that celebrity interaction, like photo session stuff, or the autograph sessions where everybody walks back? Is that going to be? Is that gone now?
I mean, there could be some things they try to do. I mean, just an idea that comes to mind, right? We talk about the lottery system. It's one of the big things for San Diego Comic-Con, right? Is getting the autograph. I got Bruce Campbell's last year, right? It could be one of those things. Hey, Bruce Campbell, can you sign about 500 of these? Then we're going to do a lottery and send them out, right? Just to kind of fill some of that littleness, but it's still not. You don't get to meet Bruce Campbell, right? He's okay, cool. I've got a signature. It's one of 500. That's cool, but it's. You're not going to get even seeing the panel through here, right? I mean, I got to see the panel for Star Trek last year, and it is just amazing to watch Patrick Stewart walk on stage. And I mean, anytime he walks into a room, there's just that emotional rise that comes through Hall H as someone everybody just looked up to their entire lives walks out there. You're just not going to get that for a media like this.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad because that is the live experience. When we're talking, I've been talking to some of the other folks who run the blog, and it's like these videos that they're going to be putting out for Comic-Con at home. It's like it's not the same. I mean, yeah, it's cool to see, but if I wanted to watch a panel online, I just go watch a panel online that someone recorded in the past. I mean, they're just panels online. It's not like there's no like you said that emotional factor. I mean, it's cool to see like the retro ones that Josh Gad has been doing, the reunions he's been doing for charity. Those are really awesome and it's fun to see. But if you see that panel at Comic-Con, it's so much cooler, like the Battlestar panel from a couple of years ago or whatever it was. I mean, those things just the emotional impact is so much greater in person. I think photo ops are going to come back because again, they it's really one of the ways that they make their money in the autographs. I think they may make some adjustments on, touching a little, there may be some of that, and maybe you just have to come in and stand behind them and then get the photo or stand next to them and then leave, and you can say hi, but you can't like touch them anymore. It depends on the celebrity and what they're comfortable with. And again, I think everything rides on a vaccine, its availability. How many people is there going to be like prove you've gotten the vaccine before you can come to the convention kind of a thing? Who knows? I did want to mention something that Sean over at Parks and Cons found out about. There's actually a biomedical company who started a program where they are certifying convention centers as safe, essentially. You're ready to have people for social distancing and cleaning, and your programs are in place for how you're going to clean rooms and have how many stations you have for either heat sensing or antiseptic, hand wash, whatever. So there's actually, some companies are out there taking advantage of the fact that convention centers need to prove that they're doing something. And so there are going to be these certifications out there for like, hey, we're doing our job. We're trying to make everything safe for people. So there's going to be stuff out there.
And one of the biggest things is, what about attendance? Do you think they're going to go ahead and greatly reduce the attendance at this point? There's just so many people. There's a lot of people walking around everywhere within the downtown area in San Diego, within the actual event center. The social distancing means cutting back on some of the people that can actually get this ticket that is so hard to get. Like the badge alone, under regular circumstances, is difficult. Will they cut it down?
Right, and I don't think they will. I think once there's a vaccine, I think that virtually everything goes back to normal. I think there will be people who are still worried about it, but those people will then just not go. And I think it almost becomes business. Like I said, I think face masks will become more like they are in Asia. They're basically a sign of, either a sign of respect or a sign of like, I'm just making sure I'm careful. It's not something that is really like this weird thing where like, I have to wear a face mask now kind of a thing. And I think that will slowly become more normal. And I think especially at conventions, people will be like, yeah, I think maybe I'd better do it there because I want to make sure I'm safe for whatever else may happen in the future. And I think it's just going to become more normal. It's like, I bought some Star Wars ones so I can wear my Star Wars ones whenever I go out and about now. So I'm not worried about it because, I got to have some cool face masks now. So I have some face masks.
More people cosplaying. That's what we need. Just
Yeah.
more full-blown cosplays. We're all good.
I
With
can't wait for
ventilators
the body,
inside.
the body face mask. You know, people always like blow things up and like bags are now dresses, like face masks. I have a face mask dress now. So yeah, I'm expecting all kinds of stuff from that.
And then for 2021, yeah, we're getting a huge thanks to CCI. They just rolled over our badges, so that you're pretty much only going to lose people that don't feel comfortable going. James probably knows better than me. I don't think you're going to get another badge sale, and if there is, it's going to be itty bitty. I
don't think they will.
Like 60, and we had 0 people not just roll their badge over. So.
Right. I know that people will be returning their badges because we've gotten a few messages from people saying this is, I sent mine back and it was an easy process. But I don't think it's going to be in very large numbers. And even if it is a few percentage points of people, I don't think CCI would do a resale just on that. I think what they would do instead is they would do like they did last year, and they would put them up on eBay as fundraisers for the museum. I think that's about the most you're going to get. And they did a lot of badges that way. I mean, they did, I think, a few hundred by the end. They did it for like a month or two. So I think that's about the only thing you're going to have a chance to get. And I am really happy that they did that. I mean, they made the best choice for how they handled that.
Yeah.
In doing the rollover with, you don't have to do a thing. It just rolls over.
Yeah. You guys think we're going to have completely lost a lot of the smaller conventions that having to skip a year? If these guys, if their, bottom line was, we've got to have this income from, this one big thing we put on every year, I think there's a lot of that smaller stuff that they're just not going to be able to ride it out.
I think what's going to happen is, and this is why some conventions haven't canceled, and they're not going to cancel until it gets really close to the convention, is their contracts. If they cancel the convention center is going to charge them. And if the state says you can't hold any gathering, then the convention center is going to be like, we have to cancel all of our conventions. And the convention organizer is like, okay, that means you guys are canceling it, not me, and I don't owe you for it. So that's why a lot of these are not going to cancel until they are forced to, because then they are not on the hook for the costs, and then that will allow them to survive into the next year. And it's just all on how they're bankrolled, and do they have the funds carrying over, and are all the people going to come back, because they need the vendors to come back, they need the attendees to come back to make sure that they can pay for those next convention. So it just all depends on, are people going to come back for the next one? And I think they can kick it off and see if they're going to get a lot of these smaller ones should be able to just be like, okay, we're going to go again. We're going to start selling tickets, start getting vendors, and go from there. And I think you'll see some of them fall, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of them fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel for a lot of the artists and like the small press and some of the vendors, like they must be, I mean, they're finding different ways to go ahead and sell their stuff online through social media, through websites. But they get a lot of business through a lot of these conventions. They're part of the conventions. I have seen a lot of these artists and vendors go from one to another to another. So it's a really great source of income for them. And kind of like the virtual conventions, yeah, it's one thing of going to commercial conventions, seeing a panel, and same thing going on a website. But sometimes you just want to look and see and feel and take a look at if you're a collector, any discrepancies on certain items, and if the box is mint. A lot of people have different things when they go into collecting, and it's just going to be, it's such a different feel. But I really feel for these guys, and is there going to be, are they going to be able to kind of continue to survive and wanting to do these things? At this point, they're throwing up their hands and like, this is our livelihood.
Yeah. That's why on the blog, that's one of our main things since WonderCon. We created a list of all of the people that were going to be in the exhibit hall of Artist Alley mainly, and we actually took the time, not me, because the other members did it so fast I didn't have a chance to help because I was at work. But they actually put together, and there's like links of every single person who was going to be attending both WonderCon and Comic-Con, and it's their shops, their Instagrams, all their social media, and how you can get commissions. We have commission lists. So if you are able to, we have always suggested, if you have the money to spend, go on to sdccblog.com, check out those lists of artists. And if you want a piece of art for your wall, go find someone, click a button, just pick a random name and click a button, see what they do. If you like the art style, get a commission or buy a print. I mean, there's so much art out there, and all the exhibitors are on that list too. So you can go check out the shops for all these little smaller places that this is how they survive. Like you said, they go to conventions. That's their money. That's their livelihood. And there is no livelihood for them right now. So definitely check things out like that. And comiccon.org, the CCI site, they are going to be doing a similar thing where the vendors can put their links up on that site and you can click on it and go right to their shop. And, definitely, if you got a few spare bucks, we definitely suggest going out and spending some money on these people who are basically out of work.
Absolutely.
That's a great plug for the artist. I appreciate it. And then we're all big fans of them. So now's a chance to support them. Same with like your local comic book shops and that kind of stuff to help keep them afloat. But guys, it was a great conversation talking about conventions. I think we all hope we come out of the other side of this COVID stuff and kind of get back to normal. We're all like pop culture nerds here. And, I know it's a small scale, but I appreciate you guys having you guys on. I want to close us out with So here's some items we think you should know about, be checking out, or things that you think you should love. I'll start us off with one of my favorite movies. So as we go through the different episodes, see, I'm a big foreign movie fan. It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. It's a kung fu western, super funny, super cool. If you're a fan of movies like The Host, Train to Busan, Parasite, Oscar-winning, all the stars from those are in. This is a lot older movie. I think it's back from 2008. It's for free on Amazon Prime. Check out The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. And if you don't know about Train to Busan and The Host, shame on you.
Shame.
Dan, what you got for us?
So my commute to work and from work is 40 minutes one way, right? So I spend a lot of time in the car listening to audiobooks, podcasts, anything to make that drive more bearable. And one of the ones that I found a long time ago was Hello from the Magic Tavern. It's a hilarious little improv podcast. The storyline goes, a guy fell into a dimensional portal behind Burger King and ends up in a magical land called Foon. And he somehow fell in with his podcast gear, so we started doing a podcast in this magical tavern. Meets a bunch of different characters. It is explicit, so be careful who you listen to it around, because there is a badger that may or may not transform by doing
wet.
Interactions with other people, and so. But it's absolutely hilarious. The whole thing is improv. It's been going on since like 2015, I think. They're still doing episodes. They're getting so big, they're actually doing live episodes. So you may have actually heard about it by now. But phenomenal podcast. I always walk away laughing and shaking my head, wondering what I just get myself into.
I concur. Love that podcast. Dan's on point. He's picking stuff that I like, which is very important that you should all take into account. Danny, what you got for us?
Which is why I'm here, because I go on the opposite side of things. So I'm not going to stop. Last week I talked about Adventure Time. I'm going to keep going about Adventure Time. So if you haven't watched Adventure Time, you should. It came out 10 years ago. A tale of a boy and his half-brother Jake. Yeah, they're brothers. I think they are brothers. If I remember one episode, that was documented. So I already ruined that part of that for you. But they're in a magical world. It was a show on Cartoon Network that was supposed to be for kids, but I know that it has a lot of actually adult humor in there that you can go ahead and pick up. It's a great time. I love it. The series actually ended, I believe it was last year, 2 years ago, and it finally made a comeback on HBO Max on a 4-part special, and they may have more if everything goes well. And of course it will. It's Adventure Time, but check it out. It's great. Great characters, a great fun.
Awesome. I like Adventure Time. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just not going to talk about it all the time.
Hey, Adventure Time is amazing.
All the time.
It's like only second to Big Ben.
All right, James, how about you close us out?
Well, I was actually, since I knew I was coming on, I was trying to think of something all week, and then I saw something on Twitter that was like, okay, I got to talk about this. There's an Amazon exclusive Transformers Optimus Prime that is basically Optimus Prime dead. It's so wrong, but so right. It's $50, $49.99. It comes out on July 15th. It's a 7-inch figure, and it's basically based on when Optimus Prime dies in the 1986 cartoon Transformers the movie. And it looks awesome. It's really cool. It's all grayscale, sparkly grayscale. It's just really cool, and I could not think of a worse toy to make, but I want one.
It's always those really weird ones that you're like, should I really? No, yeah, I'm definitely getting that.
Yeah,
Definitely getting that.
Like, come on.
What year did you say the movie came out?
1986.
All right, because I wanted to make sure I was checking my age. I remember crying at that movie.
It was a sad movie.
Because if I was like 13 or 14, I was going to skip that comment. But I remember crying at that movie.
Yeah, it was a rough
fan.
movie. It was the animation was so good, and I mean it just felt like this is an epic movie. I mean, I remember my mom took me to see it in theaters when it came out, and I went down to I don't know, in San Diego there used to be a little toy company called Playco, and they had a poster in the window, and I went in there, I'm like, can I get that poster when you guys take it down? So I had a Transformers the movie poster. Man, I think I still have that rolled up somewhere in storage. No, Transformers thing, man. They're awesome.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us again in the Dabble Den. Thanks for Dan, Danny, and James for all that great info. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, make sure and follow, like, subscribe, share. Make sure you check James out on the San Diego Unofficial blog. And you guys have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Finger guns.